to deliver this statement on behalf of the Minority Leader, Osahin Alexander Kwamena Afenyo-Markin. Right Honorable Speaker, Alban Sumana Kingsford Babi, I rise on the commencement of the second meeting of the second session of the Ninth Parliament, and I welcome you back to the chair. I also warmly welcome honorable colleagues and the staff of the Parliamentary Service back from recess. Through this chamber, I greet the people of Ghana, the sovereign owners of this democracy, in whose name we all sit here. Mr. Speaker, Parliament sits in the middle of the nation's life, and the life of this nation in the weeks just past has been a story of failure, scandal, and the deepening suffering of millions of Ghanaians who place their trust in a government that has not earned it. The minority does not take stock of the nation to score points. We do so because when the executive fails, Parliament must speak. When the government will not answer, this House must ask. And when power is abused, it is our duty to say so clearly and without apology. What we witnessed during recess was a government that drove our central bank deeper into historic losses, brought back the darkness of doomsday, and sent armed officers to arrest citizens for saying so. Disgraced Ghana before the African continent at a sports event it had 2 years to organize. Handed $1 billion national assets to the president's own brother through a process it cannot defend, and stood largely helpless as our citizens were attacked abroad. These are not opposition allegations. They are documented facts. This House deserves a full account of every one of them, and I have 10 matters to place before Parliament today. Mr. Speaker, days before we reconvene, our colleague, the Honorable Member for Asante Akyem North, was detained at Schiphol Airport in Amsterdam in connection with allegations of financial crimes involving International Investigative Corporation. Parliament confirmed the incident on May 12 through a statement from the Clerk of Parliament. We understand that the government, Parliament, and our mission in The Hague are engaged in securing legal representation and consular support. We acknowledge those steps, but they are not sufficient. This arrest has inflicted deeply damaging blow to Ghana's international reputation. Our country's name has been dragged through European headlines in a manner that reflects poorly on this Parliament and this nation. The government must respond to this as what it is, a crisis with serious reputational consequences for Ghana. We call on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Speaker's Office to intensify engagement, deploy a senior diplomatic presence, brief this House regularly, and issue a formal statement on managing the international fallout. Silence and routine would not suffice. On innocence, until proven guilty, the minority is unequivocal. No court has made any findings against our colleague. We would not try him in the court of public opinion. And we call on all political actors and media to show the same restraint. Mr. Speaker, during recess, members and supporters of the MPP were arrested and detained for violence, not for financial crime, but for speech, for exercising the right to free expression that Article 21 of our Constitution guarantees to every Ghanaian. A party organizer was seized by heavily armed CID and BNI officers for posting a Facebook image of the president with the caption, "Dumso is back." That is what it took to bring the full apparatus of state security to a citizen's door. A lawyer following the case put it plainly, and I quote, "What makes the statement false? Anybody who says Dumso is not back is living in a cuckoo land." Our flag bearer described these events on May 13th as an endless assault on the fundamental rights of MPP officers and supporters that is setting Ghana's democracy backwards. He is right. Any government that deploys security forces against citizens for political opinion has lost its democratic bearing. Today, it is the MPP. Tomorrow, it could be anyone who dares to disagree. I call on the Inspector General of Police and the Director General of CID to immediately review all such cases and release every detainee held without solid legal justification. And I call on Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice to fulfill his constitutional role and direct the security services accordingly. They serve the people of Ghana. They do not serve the ruling party. Mr. Speaker, those arrests were designed to suppress the very crisis they exposed. Dumso is back. It is back under a government that campaigned loudly on ending it. Communities across this country are once again enduring prolonged, unpredictable power cuts. Businesses are hemorrhaging money. Hospitals are under strain. Children are studying by candlelight in a country that generates its own electricity. The economic cost is estimated at $320 million per year in lost output alone. The Akosombo Power Control Center fire and the Greco's CEO suspension raised by the caucus in April were documented warning signs that were not addressed with the urgency they deserved. The result is that Ghanaians are again sitting in darkness. And this government answers was to arrest the people who said so. The result is that Ghanaians are again sitting in darkness. The Minister for Energy must appear before this House with a credible, costed, time-bound plan to end load sharing. Not a press release, a plan that this House can hold the government to. Mr. Speaker, on May 1st, the Bank of Ghana published its audited 2025 accounts. The numbers are alarming. The bank declared a net operating loss of 15.63 billion cedis and an additional loss of 19.3 billion cedis. Together, that is a staggering 34.9 billion cedis. This 34.9 billion cedis has moved the bank's negative equity position from 58.62 billion cedis to to 93.82 billion cedis. That means Central Bank owes more than 93 billion cedis, more than it owns. Even the 15.63 billion cedis headline conceals a worse reality. 9.6 billion cedis of the reported income came from selling Ghana's gold reserves. Remove that, and the bank would have recorded a 4 billion operating deficit. This government sold 50% of Ghana's gold reserve before it could reduce the quantum of the original loss and achieve policy solvency. Meanwhile, the bank paid 14.61 billion cedis in interest to private commercial banks in 2025 alone. Banks that were posting record profits while our central bank hemorrhaged public money. During the year 2025, when the minority warned this government of its wearisome monetary policy measures, the majority dismissed them. We were told that the losses on gold trading were not significant enough to spark a national alarm. When we warned about the policy reversals causing huge losses on the sterilization program, they were initially denied, only for the BOG, Bank of Ghana accounts to show the true volume of the losses later. Mr. Speaker, 93.82 billion cedis in negative equity at the institution that issues our currency is not a footnote. It is a crisis. Restoring equity to the statutory minimum will cost approximately 9.1 billion over 6 years. That is money that could have been used to build schools, hospitals, and farms. The Finance and Economic Committees must convene an urgent joint hearing with the government present. The recapitalization plan must be published, and this House must be updated regularly on the recapitalization process and the instruments being used before any further harm is done to the bank. Mr. Speaker, contrary to government's PR that the IMF program has ended, the truth is that this government has only transitioned from ECF program that has ended and signed up for a new program known as PCI program. This is the mark of a country that the IMF believes still requires supervision. It remains to be seen whether this government will be able to sustain the results in the framework that was negotiated by previous MPP administration. While the NDC is quick to claim the 2023 program was derailed, let me remind them that the IMF said no such thing. Indeed, it was their 2014 program that was described as off track by the IMF. What is important going forward is that Ghanaians expect that hikes in utility tariffs, escalating cost of living, and new taxes will be a thing of the past. Rather, the stability of the exchange rate is what the people expect, even now that the ECF is over. Right, Honorable Speaker, before I come to the xenophobic attacks in South Africa, I must place something on record. The steps that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs subsequently took on this matter did not arise in a vacuum. They arose, at least in part, because of the sustained pressure mounted by the minority caucus, and critically because of the intervention of minority leader made at the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja during the first ordinary session of 2026. Mr. Speaker, the full House, the scale of this embarrassment before the continent demands that level of accountability. Heads must roll when negligence is established. And the minister must present a written World Cup preparedness plan to Parliament before the end of this month. Mohammed Kudus and the Black Stars earned Ghana a place at the World Cup. This House would not allow ministerial incompetence to follow them to North America. Right Honorable Speaker, senior NDC figures, including cabinet ministers, are openly positioning themselves to succeed President Mahama. Barely 16 months into this term, succession campaigning has become a visible, publicly discussed feature of this life inside this government. This has disturbed even voices within the ruling party. Most revealing was at the opinion piece published on May 5th in the Daily Graphic by Dr. Callistus Bahama, the president's own executive secretary, writing under the title, and I quote, "Before the race begins, a call for discipline, reflection, and duty." He warned, again quoting, "Barely a year and a half into this mandate, the conversation about succession in 2028 risk arriving before the foundation of recovery have even been firmly laid." He warned this amount to a quiet form of neglect. He concluded, "The clock is not yet ticking towards succession, it is ticking towards delivery." Mr. Speaker, when a sitting president's own secretary is driven to publish a national newspaper's appeal, begging colleagues to stop campaigning and govern, the country is not being governed by a full government.